This is Jeff Chrisman, and I'm very happy today to have the opportunity to be visiting here with comedian Julie Scoggins. Julie, thanks so much for taking the time with me today. I appreciate it.
Hey, Jeff. Hey.
Yeah, I really do. I was going to say before we get started, I really do want to honor your dedication to your craft, and it sounds as though this is a what I was going to almost say is the last time I said this to a comedian, I think they thought I was nuts, but I really do feel like I've always been a fan of comedy. And I feel like in some aspect of this, it does seem to me like sacred work. And that may just be my perspective. But I really did want to honor your dedication to this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's a calling of sorts.
Yeah.
It really
in fact,
is.
I was going to ask you about that just to kind of start the conversation. Just anything that if I was to ask you just in your own words, what your craft means to you at a deeper level, just anything that you might share about that.
Well, I mean, there's an awful lot of people in the world that become adults and go do jobs that they may or may not particularly care for because they have dependents and they have bills, and they lose the focus of doing what feeds your soul and what really makes you happy. This isn't a rehearsal, you only get one shot.
Oh, yeah.
On this earth, and you need to be doing something that makes you happy every time you do it. And if you can figure out a way to make money at it, it's just a bonus. So I'm not rich, but I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I really do honor that too. I appreciate you sharing that. And I was going to ask, just it'd be really interesting to hear about how you got started in comedy. Just anything you might share about your first time up on stage, or just how that all came about, and just anything that, as you look back and reflect on that, just anything you might share there.
Yeah, I was 37 when I started, which is kind of unusual because most of the time new comics are 20 something, 30 something. And, but you just have to do it. I debated starting at that age. I thought, I'm a little old to be trying this. And then I thought, well, you know what? 10 years from now, I'm going to be 47, and I can be 47 with 10 years experience, or I can be 47 wondering what if,
Yeah.
And so I figured, what the heck, I'm going to go on and do it. And it was a very addictive thing.
Oh, wow. I mean, did you know kind of right away that first time? Did you know that after that first time on stage that this is something that you wanted to do?
I still have it. Listen, I still have it on video. I videotaped all of my open mic nights, and they were all like 5 minutes each. And then I'd come home at the end of the night and copy it onto a VHS tape. That's how long ago that was. And copy it. And I have 2 6-hour-long VHS tapes that have 5-minute sets back to back to back. And it's really not that great to watch them, all of them. But if you watch the first one, then you watch the 25th one, then you watch the 50th one, you see the metamorphosis. And I like to say, when I watched the first one, the first time I threw out my very first joke that got a genuine laugh, the look that came over me was, I say that's the look of the bug biting, because, oh my gosh, it was like, I get it. I can do it. I can really do it. And so I just couldn't wait. Every week, it was Wednesday night was open mic night in Charlotte at the Comedy Zone. And they would have a regular show after that. So people came for the regular show, but then they just got forced to watch the amateurs in the beginning. And some of them were kind of painful. I mean, nobody starts out good. If anybody thinks they start out good, they're kidding themselves, because everybody stinks in the beginning. Everybody.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. I've known a few people who tried an open mic, and I feel like I knew pretty early on that I really wasn't cut out for it. But I will tell you, I've always had so much respect for it. I think in some ways I've always enjoyed comedy, but I think for me, I don't know if I'm weird or different, but there's something about the experience of it. I watched, I think Jerry Seinfeld years ago, maybe it's been 20 years ago, did that comedian documentary, and I found myself being really fascinated with really what it feels like, everything that happens behind the scenes, so to speak.
His work ethic was insane.
Yeah.
Remember all the yellow tablets he had and the notebooks? He was obsessive about it. I know most of the people that I know aren't that way, but they're not at his level either.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they think when people start out, new comics start out, a lot of them, I think, have this preconceived idea that somebody's going to discover them and they're going to just launch. And all they have to do is show up and be funny. And that is not the case. I mean, you have to put the work in. That Kevin Hart, when I watched Kevin Hart on the documentary, and his thing he said all the time was, everybody want to be famous. Don't nobody want to put the work in.
Yeah. Wow.
But
That says it all. Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to ask you too, just as far as you're developing your material, just getting an idea of maybe how that developed. I don't know if did that develop over time as far as you figuring out, really what you wanted to talk about, or, what was.
I just carry it. I take notes all the time. I mean, if I'm on a car trip, especially, or I just have a notepad everywhere. And a lot of people take notes in their phone. I'm okay with that, but I find that there's something organic about putting it on paper, and I'll just put it on paper. And then when I get ready to go to a show, I take all those little pieces of paper with me and have them in my notebook, just stuck in there. And then I try to work in, one or two. I mean, I don't try to overthink it. I just try to work in one or two.
Yeah, I didn't know if there's any certain subjects, or maybe how that's changed over the years as far as what you speak about, subject wise, or.
Well, I mean, you try to go with what's relatable. So now I'm planning that when we go back, everybody is going to be. We've all been through this quarantine, and we've all shared in the whole experience of having a pandemic. I mean, who knew that 2020 would be total crap and wasted, And so but it's only wasted if you let it be wasted. Because a lot of people have reinvented themselves and figured out ways to come out better. And that's the people that you're going to see really blow up, especially in the comedy business. The guys that have had podcasts and the guys that have stayed in the social media presence and connected with their fans a lot. But one of the things I wrote, I was thinking about like the pandemic, everybody just kind of let themselves go. I mean, they ate a lot, they got fat. Everybody, I mean, who didn't get fat? I mean, only the people that bought like home fitness equipment and went that route. That's the only people that maybe get fat. But and there wasn't any reason to put on makeup. There wasn't any reason to fix your hair. I mean, I got up one morning, Jeff, I looked so bad, my phone wouldn't open. You hear me? My phone went, who the hell is that?
That's great.
I know. It's just stupid, observations like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you go quite a period of time? Were you on the road? I was wondering, I've never been able to speak to a comedian about this before. I didn't know if you were on the road less, or if this really impacted, how much you were able to perform during this time, or if it was just shut down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were shut down. There was no bars open.
Wow. Okay.
I
wasn't sure.
We're bar acts. There was no bars open. And in Florida, they had outdoor stuff. But I don't know how much you know about the comedy business, but outdoor shows are typically not good. There's just something to do with the energy and the aesthetics of an indoor. It needs to be indoors. It needs to have a low ceiling. Cavernous ceilings aren't good. You don't want it to be echoey. You want it to feel intimate, and you don't want to be way far away from the people. You want to all be, and see, COVID makes it where you can't be near people.
Yeah.
So I was doing shows. I did a few that were indoors, and they would have like the whole front row blocked off so that the comics were like 10 feet from the front row, because we all spit when we talk. And the club that I was just in Michigan had 3 comedians on the show. They had an MC, a middle, and a headliner, and they had 3 microphones. So we did not share mics, which I like a lot. That's very good. I mean, because you spit, you can't help it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people touch the mic to their face. And so that was new. That was nice that they went that extra step. I've had some clubs where the MC will come out with a wet wipe, a sanitizing wipe, and wipe the mic first and make some, joke about you're going there already. I don't have to do it.
Yeah, so I'm having to wonder in some ways if just the idea of things getting back to normal, what that's going to be like for for you as well as the audiences. Yeah,
we can't wait. I can't wait. I'm gonna get my second shot in like the second week of April, and it's gonna be on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I can't wait for Carnival to go back to work, because that's what I work for Carnival Cruises, and that was my dream job, and I didn't even know it was my dream job till I got it.
Oh, wow. I'd love to hear anything you might share about that. I've never actually talked to a comedian that's actually worked, done that work that way. Yeah.
It's so wonderful. It's the best. The real awesomeness of it is the fact that the people that tend to come to comedy shows on cruises they don't go to a whole lot of comedy shows when they're any other time. And so this is really a big deal to them, and they're not jaded. You know what I mean? They're not.
Yeah.
They everything, and they're all in a good mood. Everybody's on vacation. They're happy. They're drunk. It's just such a perfect situation. And the shows are 30 minutes long. So our sets are 30 minutes. And you can't repeat jokes. You have to have 3 30-minute sets that are two of them are adult. So you can say whatever you want. And then you have to have a third set that children can be in the room. It doesn't have to be for children, but they have to be able to hear it, and the content can't be offensive, and the language or anything about it. It just needs to be, fart jokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the kids love. The kids love fart. I love a good
I feel like in
joke.
some ways, some things haven't changed, right? Yeah, as far as with kids, I feel like a lot has, but it's good to know that some things haven't, Yeah.
I love a good fart joke.
I love that. I love that. And then I was going to ask you too, maybe what's what it feels like being on stage in terms of does it feel any different when you're doing that on a cruise line versus working in a club? Just in terms of what the atmosphere feels like, or.
No, it's like a comedy club. I mean,
Yeah.
The kid friendly shows definitely feel different than a comedy club. They do. But the adult shows, they're hammered. They're having fun. I mean, it's just the best. It's just the best vibe ever. And I love it. That was the worst. I went home March 15th of last year. That was my last ship. And so now we're starting to get emails. Anyway, they haven't booked the ships yet, but we're hopeful that it'll be maybe sometime in the summer. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely is going to be nice to get back to normal. Yeah.
My other favorite thing to do is I tour overseas for Armed Forces Entertainment. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that. I have a tour scheduled in the fall in Europe, and I'm not sure the actual bases yet, but they'll tell me, as it gets closer. But I just say yes, I'll go. I don't care. I don't care where we're going.
Yeah.
Sign me up. I'm ready. Yeah. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I was going to say and to be able to travel and see different places in the world, I would think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask you, just as far as, before you, just to kind of go maybe a little deeper, just in terms of what it feels like to actually, before you get on stage and when you get on stage. I've always found that really interesting, just to understand what it actually feels like. Let's say you're in a green room or you're basically getting ready to go on, what's going through your mind? What does it actually feel like physically before you get on stage?
I still get jittery even after all this time. And I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I think that if you stop getting jittery, that you need to do something different.
Yeah.
You should be excited about performing. One of the things I do is, and some comedians don't. Some comedians don't listen to the acts that go up in front of them. And I think that's a little weird, because you need to know, we call it taking the temperature of the room. You need to know what's happened up until your turn, and you need to watch all the nuances. And if there's somebody in the crowd that's talking back, or if there's someone that they have endeared themselves to, I mean, you just never know. If there's anything that's gone on till your turn, you need to be able to continue that vibe, or that the flow. Or if it's bad, if there's something going on that you don't want, you need to know that too, so that you can nip it and start fresh when it's your turn and distance from it. It's just always good. I find it interesting that some people don't care to listen to the comics in front of them, but.
Yeah, I'd never thought about that before. And I was going to ask you, is it more important that you hear oh my goodness, what kind of bird is that?
That's my bird. That's my bird.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Is that is that a conure?
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
She's really spoiled. So she wanted to sit up here.
I love it. I think this is the first bird that I've ever had on the podcast. So this is good. I like it. I like very cute.
That's my baby.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna ask you, as far as, is it important that you hear what's being, I don't know, do you have to actually see what's going on in the crowd, or is it more about just hearing? Yeah, I didn't know if there's a difference between seeing and, as far as before you go up, seeing it versus hearing it, if it's any different to you.
Well, there's a lot of things, like a lot of the green rooms have audio in them. And so you can listen to this, or you can simply hear it through the wall. And most of the time, hearing it's probably enough, but sometimes you just want to see. I mean, I would rather sit in the room. I would rather not sit in a green room. I like to sit in the back of the club and watch the whole show right up till it's my turn. And then I go get on deck, and wait to be introduced. But yeah, I would rather be in the room.
Yeah. Is that something that you, oh yeah. Is that something that you can always do, or does it depend on where you're at? Whether you have the ability to do that to sit in the back?
You can always do that. Just because they got a green room doesn't mean you have to go get in it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Yeah.
Nah.
And so I'm wondering too, I mean, as far as people who don't want to necessarily hear what's gone on before, is it something about not wanting to have any preconceived notions, or do they just want
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, because that's not me.
Yeah.
I want to know if anybody talked about anything that is related to anything I'm going to talk about. And I craft my set that night based on what I've already heard.
Yeah, and just being able to read a room like that, was that something that took some time? I was wondering, does that feel a little different now versus, let's say, when you were just a year in or 2 years into this?
Oh, sure. There's a lot. I mean, and there is no shortcut. Like sometimes people ask me, what would be your advice to younger up and coming comedians? And all I can tell you is keep doing it. There's no shortcuts. There's no magic. There's no magic shortcut. I mean, that's the best way I know to say it. It will take you. It took me every bit, and I headlined it 3 years. I headlined 3 years in. But there was a comedian that I worship, Tim Wilson was his name. He was from Columbus, Georgia. And I just think he is the end all be all of comedians. When you get a chance, go look him up.
Yeah, definitely will.
He was on Bob and Tom a lot. He was on the John Boy and Billy Show based in Charlotte a lot. He was smart. He was articulate. He was Southern. He was a history major. He knew the Bible. He knew history. He was married to an Israeli woman that had been in the Israeli army.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
yeah.
He was a colorful man. And one of the things he told me early on, he said, it's going to take you at least 10 years to find your voice on stage.
My
and
goodness.
I thought 10 years, really? Because I thought I already had it. You know what? He was right.
Wow.
Even at 15, even at 20, you are still reinventing yourself. And you are still like, there's a certain amount of, I don't know, there's something that happens when you have done it so many times that you don't worry anymore about what people are going to think or that you're going to do it right. You just go out there and you have fun instead of worrying about, oh, are they going to think I'm this or that? You are having a good time now. And people know that, man. They can feel when you are loving what you're doing and they just warm right up. That's the best.
Yeah, in fact, it's so interesting that you talk about that because I didn't even realize that I guess just imagining how nervous I think I would be. I'm just trying to imagine what it would feel like to actually get to that point.
Oh God!
And be able just to be yourself and not worry. I mean, did you know that was coming, or is that something that kind of surprised you at some point? Or?
No, I mean, I thought it'd come sooner. Is what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really nervous for a long time. I mean, and everybody is, because like I said, everybody stinks. In the beginning, everybody stinks. You just do. Nobody's born into knowing how to do it.
Oh yeah. So, yeah. I was always wondering too what it felt like on those, in those early years, when you came off, the stage after a set and maybe you weren't feeling great about it, just what that experience was like. I mean, how would you, I guess I would ask you how you handled that, or what your process was.
Well, somebody told me one time that no matter what happens, if you think it stunk, you don't ever come off the stage and say so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No, don't. And you don't say it from the stage either, because you don't want to confirm what they might be suspecting.
Yeah.
They might not be convinced that you're stinking. They might think, oh, I don't know about all that. And as long as you push forward, you can move on past it and recover. But if you stop and you acknowledge the fact that things went less than you had planned, then you're putting that into the listener's head. And now they're going to make that so. So it's better. Wow. Yeah, it's better if you can just push through and because people are forgiving. I mean, if you're funny in the next 5 minutes, they're going to forget all about that little stumble you had. They won't care. They're forgiving. They're drinking. They don't care.
That helps, doesn't it?
They'll give you a do-over.
I love that. I was also going to ask you too, just, and of course, as somebody, I don't want to assume anything here, but as somebody I know, and I know this isn't about me, but just, just in terms of being, of being uncomfortable in my own skin sometimes and, dealing with self-esteem stuff, I'm always wondering, you're up on stage. I mean, there's nowhere to hide, right? You're up there, you're in front of people. I was wondering just what that has been like for you over the years. Maybe, when you started, do you find yourself now sometimes just even forgetting that it's you up there? I don't know if that makes sense or if that sounds silly, just kind of losing, the whole idea of wondering what you appear like to other people or how you sound or anything else. Yeah.
But I taught a class in stand-up, a workshop, in Charlotte for several years. And one of the things I used to tell them is, you know how when you're in the audience and you're watching a comedian and you see that comedian struggle, you can tell that they're struggling. You get nervous for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it creates tension in the crowd because they want you to succeed. They don't want to see you on damage control mode. They want to see you having fun and being successful up there. And so when you're up there on the stage, you just remember how it feels to be in that crowd and how much those people want you to do well and how they're not against you.
Yeah.
And relate to them. And then and they're forgiving. They will absolutely forget a mistake in a heartbeat, especially if you're okay, if you're cool with it and you don't act weird. Just push forward. Just tell your jokes. Just be funny. Entertain them. Share a moment. I love that. I love my shows for everybody to be all like, we all know each other now. We related.
Yeah. Is there, I mean, that's so interesting that you bring that up. I never even thought about that before. I mean, in some of the best shows that you've had or the best sets that you've had, do you really feel like, even though you maybe haven't met each one of these people personally, is there some form of communication that's happening?
Absolutely.
Where you do feel like you know them?
I do know them. I know them after the show. They come up, they talk. I hand out these little cards that have my website and stuff, and they connect with me on Facebook. They post stuff on my page. I remember them. We take pictures. We say, and I have people that message me and say, you know, what ships are you going to be on? We're booking our vacation. We want to, and that, oh my God, that's just the best thing ever. Yeah. And I've had people come back and I've seen them on another ship, you know, because we bounce around, the comedians bounce around from all the ships. I've had one time, there was this guy on a ship and he said, he came up and he goes, I saw you on a base, on a Air Force base in Turkey. I know. I was like, really? That you were there? And he's like, yes. Oh my gosh, I can't. And we took a picture and we put it on Facebook. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And that's the stuff I love. I mean, telling jokes is good, but I love the people. I love people.
Yeah, I was going to say I hadn't even thought about that part, that whole side of it. Just, you know, where you actually connect with people and then people stay with you and keep in touch. And I absolutely love that. Yeah.
Your listeners, if they want to get on my mailing list too, they can go on juliescoggins.com and there's a link. I think it's, I hope it's on the front page. I'm in the process of getting my website a makeover.
Oh, yeah.
There is a link on there and you can sign up for my mailing list and you choose the city. I've got one for Tulsa. I've got one for Oklahoma City. I've got Dallas, Fort Worth. I've got, I mean, all over, Arizona, everywhere, New York, everywhere. And you just pick the city you want to know about, whatever comedy club is close to you, and then put in your email, and then you'll get an email when I come there.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because I was going to say, I didn't even know if you'd been through Oklahoma or not. I didn't know if you come to the Looney Bin before in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, or interesting. Sure. Okay. Oh. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. I didn't even know if you've been in these parts or not, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just did Wichita and Little Rock in November, but I haven't done those two. I haven't been to Oklahoma in a while, but I'm coming back. Got my shot now. I'm coming back.
Well, good deal. That's good. That's good. And then I was going to ask you also, I know that I've heard this referred to before. I don't know if this is the right term for this. You know, I guess what I would ask you is, when you're out on the road, you know, what do you do with the other 23 hours of the day, so to speak? I mean, I realize obviously you sleep some, I would think, but I always find it interesting, just, you know, what it's like living those other hours until, let's say, for instance, you know, before you go up on stage again the next night, so to speak.
Oh, God. Well, I do all kind of things. I like to see where I am. When I was in Oklahoma City, I went to the Murrah building, you know, to the bombing museum. Yeah. I've been to that twice. That is very moving. And everybody needs to go look at that. That really is well done. And I go so when I'm in Oklahoma City, I've done that 2 times. I also like a good barbecue joint.
Yeah.
So I go find a barbecue joint or 3. I'm trying to think what I did when I was in Tulsa. I went to Sam Kinnison's grave.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yep, he's buried in the city cemetery up there off of Memorial Drive, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, ma'am. I've been there. Yeah.
Yep, I did that, and I'm trying to think what else I did. I might have gone. I think I was in. No, that was Oklahoma City. I went to a fair, but fairs are always in capital cities, so I think that was in Oklahoma City. But anyway, yeah, I just go out and do different things and tourist around, get out. I always have a rental car, so I'm not stuck I'm not stuck. I like to go out and do stuff.
Yeah. Are there times during the day where you forget, that you're going to be going up on stage that night, or do you have, sometimes is it easy to just kind of lose yourself in whatever you're doing and not have to think about it all the time?
Yeah. But I'm always looking for stuff to talk about too. So as I'm out in a city, I'll look at something that I look for irony. Irony makes comedy. So anything that's ironic about anything, something that you notice that's a common thread about a place makes for potential material. You just have to put your take on it.
Yeah. And I've always wondered this too, as far as when you develop material, I would assume that every comedian has a different process for, figuring out, whether it's something you want to stick with or continue to hone it. Or I didn't know if you had anything in particular or any, I didn't want to assume that there's any rule that you have for it, but just anything that you could speak to just as far as, how you test things out and maybe what your process is for that. As far as figuring out whether it's something you want to hang on to or.
Like I was saying, I just write a lot of notes down and then I take them in the club with me. And then I decide based on what I hear the people in front of me say, I formulate my set that night. And I have a timer. I have a Fitbit and I set my timer to buzz 15 minutes before I got to quit because that helps me to bring it in for a landing.
Yeah.
And I don't like to see comedians look at their watch because I think that looks to the crowd like they want to be someplace else. And
gotcha.
So I like the fact that this just buzzes and I can feel it and I don't look at it. So I will bring out like notes while I'm waiting for my turn, and I'll look it over and I'll decide where it fits best in my set. And then my goal is to go out there and work it in somewhere. And right. And then if it goes well, keep it. And sometimes the more you do stuff, you start thinking of tags and extra punchlines to add on. And a tag, you do premise, setup, and punch. Then tag comes after that. And sometimes you can have a whole bunch of tags for one joke and just keep. That's when it's awesome.
Yeah. And then I didn't know too, if you have, as far as you tend to use different material depending on where you are in the country or in the world. I didn't know if there's, if there's subtle differences.
It depends. I mean, a lot of it is people are people. So a lot of it is universal. I mean, humans are humans. And I have material I do on military bases that specifically relates to them. And they're all, 20 years old and never been anywhere and except where they are. And a lot of them, it's a real unique demographic on military bases. Military crowds are often small town America. They're rural. They join the military because it's their ticket out. Because people in their families probably don't go to college. And they want to learn a trade and they want to learn a skill and they want to have insurance and a job one day, and they go in the military to get out of wherever they are. So sometimes it helps to know the demographic you're speaking to.
Yeah. but I love what you're talking about, though, that there's some things that are more universal, with just humans, with people in general, no matter where you are. So it is nice to know that as well.
Universal topic.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I was going to ask you too, just as far as, what it feels like, let's say you've been out on the road for a period, a longer period of time, just getting an idea of maybe what it feels like for you transitioning, coming off the road, spending more time. And I realize here the past year, I know it's been a little different, but anything that you might speak to just as far as what that's like for you, or how that feels, or does it take a period of time for you to kind of acclimate to being off the road for a while? Or?
Well, when I come home, I get up earlier, and when I'm on the road, I sleep late. So there's that shift worker sleep disorder. It comes from changing schedules.
Yeah.
But other than that, I come home, I usually do like a week on, a week off. And I really like that because that lets me come home and eat healthy and sleep in my bed a little bit and be with my baby girl, my bird.
Yeah.
I love my bird. And oh yeah, that's my girl. And then I go out for a week, home a week, out a week. And then it's a nice balance because after I've been home for a week, I'm really ready to go. And after I've been out, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah. Did you have periods earlier in your career where you would stay out longer on the road, or have you always pretty much just done it this way?
I've tried to do it that way. I think that it's healthier.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to say, Julie, I'm so appreciative that you've taken this time and shared, about what it's like for you to have been doing this work over the years. And it just means a lot that you've taken the time to visit with me about this and share what you did. It's really appreciated.
I'm glad you wanted to have me. That's nice. That's flattering.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again. And once again, I really do honor your craft and what you do. Thank you so much.
Well, y'all check out juliescoggins.com.
Sure.
SCOGGINS, juliescoggins.com. And then on Facebook, it's also my name. Everything is Instagram, Twitter, everything is just at Julie Scoggins. So I'm super easy to find, and sign up for the mailing list, and I will let you know when I'm near you, and then you can come check out a show in person. And look on YouTube as well. Yeah, look on YouTube as well, and you can see sort of what my style is like, and you can tell like who you can bring and who you need to leave at home.
There you go. I love that. And I'll also, in fact, I'll put up with your interview. I'll put some information so that way if people want to see that, I'll be able to make that where it can be a link to your website and to your Facebook page and things like that, so people can actually get that all in one place there for you.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate you promoting.
Absolutely. Thank you again.